you remember that scene from Men in Black where they open up the locker in the train station and all of a sudden you saw this massive city of little guys in a big city? And they said, all hail M or B or one of those guys. The bottom line is, today we're going to be talking about the microbiome. It's the city in your city, which is in your gut. And over the last several decades, and even longer, back to the 60s, they've discovered remarkable signaling, remarkable changes. And now as our research becomes even more advanced, the microbiomes become all the rage in terms of your overall health. So welcome to the channel. Let's talk about your microbiome.
So Doc, what is the gut microbiome?
Great question. So the gut microbiome is a microcity in your body, which has over 40 trillion bacterial cells. And remember, you only have 30 trillion cells total in your body. So you are outnumbered by bacteria basically in the gut and on your skin. But these are essential to your well-being. And many of these are neglected until you take a round of antibiotics and wipe out commensal bacteria, which work intricately with your gut in processing waste, as well as moving signaling around. And you can get something called C. difficile colitis, which if you've ever had diarrhea after taking antibiotics, you know what I'm talking about. What do you do for that? You take yogurt, because what does yogurt have? Active bacterial infection. The gut microbiome, in short, is the trillions of microbes which have existed and come into your body, and you get them as a baby as you're eating, through some of the ones when you breastfeed, and then as you develop over time, your microbiome is very distinct for you. Now that's the other interesting thing. Everyone's microbiome might be a little bit different depending on what you eat and what part of the world you live in. There's up to 1,000 species of bacteria in the human gut, but it is roughly the weight of your brain. Together though, the function of these work towards, as I said, breaking down different compounds and aiding in digestion, as well as in moving of signaling between different parts of your body and working in other areas to improve your life. Conversely, when you disrupt your microbiome, there are significant changes, and that's what they're starting to find with disease in your heart, your liver, your brain, and other areas.
So Doc, what does your gut do for you?
As a general surgeon, when we were training, we knew that if your gut is right, it will. But in essence, your gut absorbs nutrients. It processes water, and it reabsorbs the water and creates waste, which can then be expelled. But in particular, your microbiome within that helps you maintain and is linked to your weight, your gut health, your heart health, controlling blood sugar and diabetes risks, as well as mental health.
How does that work?
So the interesting part is we've evolved to live with the microbes for millions of years. And during that period, they also end up becoming essential to our survival. More recently, we've determined that there's a gut-brain axis, which is quite interesting because you are what you eat, if you will. In addition to that, the gut microbiome communicates with your immune cells, and it helps your body fight infections to some degree, because we know that if things overgrow, like C. difficile colitis, you can get toxic microbes and other problems. In addition to that, different things can happen to your signaling and your linkages.
Doc, how can I keep my gut microbiome healthy?
There's some really critical steps to maintaining your gut microbiome. And if you think about a gut microbiome, it's sort of like a garden that you plant. You have to constantly be feeding it. In the case of our gut microbiome, things have to move through fiber, and it can be there so that the bacteria can have a larger surface area on which to work. Secondly, probiotic foods with live bacteria are constantly repopulating your population. And they can include things like buttermilk, yogurt, kimchi, kombucha is a big one these days, sourdough bread, miso. I bet you didn't know all of those things have in common the fact that they're made from fermented sources, in essence bacteria. And so you're eating bacteria all the time. You just didn't know. Next, you avoid refined carbs because rice, sugar, bread, sweeteners tend to change the acidic mood. And in addition to that, can cause overgrowth of certain lactic acid producing bacteria, which can lead to a shift in the microbiome. The next is more veggies. Why? Because they help reduce levels of disease-causing bacteria such as E. coli, as well as improving the inflammation of cholesterol. But also they provide fiber innately, depending on what you're eating. Next, take antibiotics only when necessary. In some places, like here, you don't even need a prescription. You can just call a pharmacist and get whatever you want. My vote would be to use them sparingly and only if you're under doctor's supervision or if you've had a serious illness which isn't getting better, because most things are viral in nature in terms of colds and coughs and whatnot. And antibacterial won't change it with those materials. Next, eat foods which are rich in polyphenols. It's basically plant compounds found in green tea, dark chocolate, olive oil, whole grains, and which are broken down by the microbiome to stimulate healthy bacterial growth. In short, the microbiome is a small city within a city, 40 trillion cells, probably more than most people have in their whole body. It is 30 trillion is what you have in your body. But it's so critical to your well-being. We're only figuring out now what role it plays and how to keep it healthy. And we're pushing the means to maintain it. So be good to your gut and it'll be good to you, because no one likes to have bad tummy. And bottom line is it'll serve you well. Moreover, it is critically involved with all sorts of processes now and is related to other chronic diseases. And so maintaining it is an interesting thing. And some of this might be genetically coded because different types of processes are there in everyone's gut. So it may be more particular than you think. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this and learned a little bit about it. Thanks for joining us. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. Hit the bell icon and join us for the next episode.